And no, she's not sick. She was doing something. Uh-oh.
She had something she couldn't get out of. Okay. So, the thing that I know is the major plan is to, from what I understand, is by July to have both of our master plans updated and to the town offices. And we have, Kristen, you're Rockport, right? So we have two of us, Rockport, and two Camden.
I'm in Rockport, yeah.
And I'm in
I read it today while I was sitting in the dentist office waiting for Olivia to come out. I don't see that. I mean, it looks like one major thing, I guess, has been taken care of. That can be erased. But I mean, as far as updating it, I don't know what kind of changes you want to make.
Prioritizing.
Yeah, I did notice that the sidewalk path to the high school has been discussed since 2002. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, practically since the high school was built.
So that's
everybody knows where to find the master plans in the Google Docs.
Yeah, I also read them. It's a depressing process to see how little has changed since 2007.
Yeah, it looks like everything still needs to be done except for the sidewalk on oh, I was going to ask, I did see that one of the high priorities on the master plan was the sidewalk that was accomplished in front of Hannaford. But then did the crosswalk happen or no? I don't recall seeing a crosswalk that goes from Camden Street across.
Yeah, it's right across from Quarry Hill.
Oh, okay.
And there's also one right at the Hannaford. So there's two new crosswalks right there.
Oh, okay. Great. I guess I just don't pay attention.
Yeah, well, those are tied. The one by Hannaford is tied right into the light system there.
I see it. Right. Okay. I think I remember that now. Well, great. Well, that can be marked off.
So one of the questions, and I'm just trying to look at Camden, what I'm surprised by, and I'm just noticing because I've been seeing in the last week 3 different people walking. There's no sidewalk on Mechanic Street between Oak Street and Park Street. And so they just have to walk right in the road there.
I'm trying to remember where Oak Street is.
So it's
one of
like halfway down on Mechanic. There's no walking path. So if you wanted to walk out towards the Snow Bowl, or if you wanted to walk to the John Street Methodist Church, and you're walking on Mechanic, there's a whole stretch there there's nothing.
Oh, really? I know we were running there for cross country. Okay, I remember now. We would go up past Park Oak. Oh, and then there is a stretch, yeah, I guess, before it connects back in to another sidewalk.
No, then it just comes out to where Park Street comes out and it continues on with no sidewalk. And I don't know if that matters, except that it does seem like there's a little rise in the road, and I could see it being, a safety issue for pedestrians.
Yeah.
Well, it's also in that stretch. I used to live over there, and you have room to walk on one side of the road for a while, and then you have to cross over and walk on the other side of the road, even never mind a sidewalk, just to have room to walk. But very few people walk there, to be honest.
Well, the only reason it drew my attention is in the last week, I've seen 3 people walking there at different times.
Really?
And so that's what made me think, how come there's not a sidewalk there? So how do we want to approach this? Because we've got 4 of us. And do we want to just work through each of them. I don't know what you guys did last meeting in terms of whether the plan was to, well, actually, why don't we start by approving the minutes from last month's meeting, because we can start there. And then decide how we want to dive into this master plan. And if there's anything that we also want to see about the video and using that. So I really apologize. I have had no space to be thinking about this stuff.
No, I did read the minutes. I didn't see anything that there was a problem with, so I can, what do I say? Motion to approve?
Yeah. Any,
Well, do we
Any
even have enough
seconds?
people to do that?
well, that is a good question.
I remember when there were only, for our live meeting last week, how many did we have? And we barely had enough to have an actual meeting. I don't think we actually have enough.
Andrew, do you know bylaws? Like how many do we need to? We may not.
Is that in the,
I don't. How many are we? 5 total? 6?
4?
Well,
With
1, 2, 3.
4.
Oh, Allison's not here. All right. I think you have to have at least 6 or 5.
Okay, so we're gonna postpone approving the minutes until we have
A quorum.
quorum. Minutes,
Sorry, I'm running late. Oh, come here.
Margot, are you the white car with Margot M on the tag?
no,
No.
that's probably Margot Moore.
Often confused.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've gotten her mail over the last many years.
I see that car everywhere and I always wonder if it's yours.
Okay, so our old business is the Elm Street video editions, Will and Andrew. I don't know what the video editions are. Andrew, do you know what the video editions are that are referred to?
Do you mean the ones we made with Allison?
Yes, but old business says the Elm Street video editions, Will and Andrew.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think that was what we made with Allison. And I
Okay.
have not connected with her as far as that goes.
Maybe there's something in the minutes then that can tell us. Does anybody remember?
I just remember they were talking about editing and adding things, and I think maybe they had giving themselves till June maybe to present it to the select board. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
A few wanted to try to do it sooner, but they were, I think, trying to be realistic about it since so many people have a lot going on.
So I wasn't at the meeting last month, but it could be what they were talking about, additions. I know Will had some audio recordings from the students talking about the
That's-
troubles they had getting across Route 1. And so maybe that was the addition they were talking about.
I
don't-
think that's exactly what they were talking about. So it says Linda and Margot will contact Audra about getting on the agenda. Oh, this is from February, sorry. Wrong agenda. But that does sound correct. Andrew to endorse a statewide effort to enhance and improve Elm Street video. The goal is to include more voices in the video. Linda will edit. the additional footage and keep the length not more than 2 minutes. So, fact that that's on there as an agenda item, I would say we need to touch base. The action is that we have to touch base with Linda to see about if she's going to edit that, and if there was any other things other than the student voices about editing the video.
Are you talking about Will's recording student voices?
Yes.
Okay.
So the March minutes say that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's all going to be tried to put together with the videos and then present at a select board meeting, and just kind of just keep showing them these things. I talked to Dave St. Laurent today, and he thought that was a good idea. It's a difficult, a very difficult job to try to get that done. That section of sidewalk on Elm Street.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where that's left. So let's jump into these master plans. We've got a goal of a July deadline, and these would be presented to the two towns as sort of a working blueprint to reintroduce the priorities of this team, but then also try to connect with Conservation Commission, the Conservation Committee, as well as whatever other committees, Parks and Recs, or whatever might be other committees within the towns that we could build some collaborations, common interests around. And so if this is April, that means May and June, essentially 2 months to get these firmed up. So we could either work as, it seems like because we have so few of us, we pick one of them today and just kind of start working through things that we've done, take off. If there are things that we want to address that aren't in there, we add them, and then we do the wordsmithing later, not really worry about, that it looks pretty right now. Does that sound, and maybe we have a short meeting tonight and, just take about, 30, 40 minutes and work through one of those. And then it sounds like we've all read them. So it might just be a matter of, taking off the things that we've done and anything that we want to add.
I don't know. Do we have more people here for this? I mean,
the whole thing doesn't feel comfortable, but we've only got 2 months essentially.
Yeah.
May and June. I mean, I think some of the things that we have completed, if there are any, we could at least highlight them in red or somehow distinguish things that we've done, and as well as the four of us can have, if there are some things that we want to highlight, that is worth noting as well.
I saw in here, it says at least annually, the Pathways Committee will meet with the Public Works Director, Planning Board, Conservation Commission, and the Parks and Recreation Committees to solicit input on the process of maintaining blah, blah, blah. I feel like I joined maybe in August and it's April. And have we met with any of these people?
No, and I wouldn't say that it's been annually, although, Camden right now, Dave St. Laurent has been really active, and I feel hopeful. I mean, we had Orion that was involved, so we might need to do a little bit more of really nurturing those relationships. But I can't say it's been annually.
Okay.
For sure.
Well,
I believe if we really, in Camden anyway, I believe that if we really want to get something done, working with Dave St. Laurent could really move things along. He's really good. He was in Rockland. He did a lot of work there. He knows how this stuff works. He knows how slow it goes, but yeah, he's definitely an advocate for all these things.
So are people feeling uncomfortable going through one of the plans now, or are we comfortable we've got 4 of us, just to start by looking through one of them and seeing, like I'm looking at the Camden one right now. And in terms of the executive summary, you know, I would feel comfortable going through this. I think we can sort of strike through or highlight a couple of things that have happened, like the, you know, Washington Ave sidewalk to Shirttail Point, we can highlight. Or if people are uncomfortable and we need more of a quorum, we can call it.
Whatever you guys want to do. I think Linda at the last meeting had mentioned that the Rockport folks get together and do theirs, and the Camden people get together and do theirs. I honestly don't know what has been completed on the Camden one, but I can listen to you guys. I can read through it with you.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of that with me.
Do you have your computer?
No, left it at my office.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
is it in Google Docs?
it is in Google Docs.
Okay, I think I can find it pretty quick.
And it's also in the email that Linda sent. You can click it. Linda sent an email today. There's a link if that's easier to get to.
Oh, okay. Where'd it go? Let's just look.
Oh, I know what we can change. Oh, wait, this is Camden. Never mind. Oh, no. Mine just shut down.
So I think one of the things that's really worth noting is that this was first, yeah, I think it's really important that we highlight the October 2017, and then beneath that revised and put today's, you know, the current date. And, you know, I'm just going to put revised 2023. And once we decide these are set, we can put the actual date on there. So I have the live one open. I see Kristen is on that one.
Well, I'm trying to be, but my computer's being really difficult, so it's not letting me do anything or read it. It wants me to take a tour of something. I don't know. Let's make it out.
Not sure if I'm looking at the right thing. Is it the 2021?
It says bicycle and pedestrian master plan, Camden, Maine, bicycle and pedestrian master plan.
Oh, Linda sent that out today, didn't she?
She did.
Okay.
And if you click on the blue W as opposed to the red PDF, we can make adjustments right in it. It's a beautiful document. So on page 3 of 40, I see one little bullet that could be sort of highlighted as completion.
Which of you guys are on Camden?
Tom and Andrew.
Well, their names are not on here, so maybe start with that. That's on page 1.
Yeah, in fact, there's nobody's name other than Jeff Scott. Jane Self, I guess, is still on there.
I don't think Wendy Zwecker is on the committee anymore, right?
No. So that's, we can just say we need new names.
I can't find it.
You know what I can do, Andrew, is in the link. I mean, in the chat, I'm gonna put a link.
Oh.
You see the chat link?
I'm getting there. Oh, there it is. Okay. I don't know why I can't find it, but that's me and computers. We don't really talk the same way.
I think you're in.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, what are you looking at? Sorry, I'm just catching up here.
Oh. Richard's here now. Hey, Richard. Okay, so Andrew, Richard, there's a link in the chat if you want to get onto we're looking at the master plan for Camden right now.
Okay,
And things that we need to change or add, we are just marking in yellow because we've got a very small group today. And so page 3, which is awesome, there are 2 bullets that have been completed.
Mhm.
Oh, so goals of the plan. The select board expresses several goals for the plan. This looks like it would have to, that whole chunk right there looks like would be an opportune time to talk with both the select board and with the other committees like conservation and whatnot.
To see if their goals have changed.
Yes. You know, I can't imagine these aren't still their goals, but
Right, exactly. I feel like they probably are the same. I feel like we still have congested motor traffic and yeah, it seems like they would all be the same. But you're right. I mean, good chance to talk to them.
well, and we don't want something in the plan that says these are the select board's board goals when, they were in 2007. Andrew, you weren't on Pathways back then either, were you?
No, that was not. It was 2018, maybe. No, 19. Can't remember. Golden plan.
Dave Ridley was still on the pathways at that point,
Yeah, that's what
and
the first page has everybody's.
once he retired as Nordic coach, he retired from the pathways also.
So I'm looking at page 10. This starts to kind of talk about doing the surveys regularly to identify priorities and areas.
Oh, you're on page 10.
We all just did those a few months back, right?
Yeah.
You guys did surveys?
Yeah. And Jeffrey was doing something with them. I think he got them to the town, and Dave St. Laurent was in on our review of surveys. And there were definitely some things he was going to work on.
Were the surveys sent to all residents? How does that work?
No, this is where people went out and actually walked the sidewalks and things. So we did them in Rockport as well.
No.
Committee members, this committee members, right?
Yeah.
Yes, committee members.
So there's actually, this really does need to get updated. I mean, because it's based on public hearings in 2002. Not that I think having some context and some history is really important, just so it doesn't get lost from the kind of pathway story. But we want to put this probably in language that's going to be a little more relevant to 2023.
But unfortunately, it's all the same. We still need all of these things. 21 years later, we still need a safer route for the children to get to the school. Right?
Yeah.
And then didn't I read just like maybe a couple of lines down from there? Oh, wait, this is Camden, sorry. But it's the same in Rockport about how there was a $150,000 grant from MDOT that was taken back because we didn't use it to do that project. Does anybody?
Was that on Route 90?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the town couldn't agree on what it was about. I mean, like what the outcomes would be.
Mm.
Okay, so we have our high, medium, and low priorities, which is on page 14. Do we want to take a look at this and see whether these still feel, 20 years later to be the high, medium, and low? And these were prioritized based on maintenance, short-term projects, and long-term projects. And they're categorized as medium, high, and low.
We got the new Washington Street sidewalk.
Or widened shoulder extending beyond the end to Shirt Tail Point. So we can highlight that one.
Mm-hmm.
And the second high priority,
Mm-hmm.
Camden Rocks, a new sidewalk along Rawson Ave.
I don't think so.
No, a new sidewalk connecting from the existing Pearl Street sidewalk to John Street. Then down John Street to the intersection with Elm Street.
No, it hasn't happened.
We haven't made that one yet.
But they were talking about getting sidewalks on John Street at the last meeting. I think that's in the works, Allison was saying.
Huh, okay. Medium is the sidewalk from the end of the existing sidewalk on Mechanic Street up to John Street. So that's the one that I, saw activity last week.
John Street is happening.
Wait, which John Street? The one on, that's a high priority or the one that's a medium priority?
I'm not sure, but they're doing
I-
Pearl Street sewer next week, in a couple of weeks, and they're going to redo the sidewalks. But John Street's coming up after that, I believe.
So Pearl Street to John Street is the high priority. The other one is Mechanic Street up to John Street.
Right.
I also think they mean up to Park Street. Or maybe
Probably.
it's up to John Street.
Oh, it goes up to John and then it continues on to Park.
Well, the road, but there's
The
no
road.
sidewalks now.
Right.
A sidewalk along Thomas Street?
Thomas Street.
Was that a high priority?
Medium.
Medium. I think,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of a different street. I don't.
That's off of Cobb Road.
Mm-hmm.
there was a high priority to get a safe route, a bicycle route to the Snowball, I thought. But we're talking sidewalks right now.
I'm reading it. I don't see any reference to the snowball here.
I don't
No.
see any, this is all sidewalks. I don't see anything regarding bicycle pathways.
Well, there is it says use existing path from Snowball through the woods to Rollins Road. Route to Snowball could be used, oh, well, that's sorry, that's a pathway through the woods. And then there's another Snowball to Town Lake. And then Snowball to Rockport.
Where do you see those?
Must be on the next page. Let me scroll down.
Maybe, I don't have page numbers on this, I just see page break, doesn't give me a number.
Yeah,
No.
I don't see it where you're looking. Margo.
What's the paragraph header?
Appendix 3, written comments received by the committee. Oh,
Oh, that's
no, scroll down back to that. Anyway,
Oh, okay, so what are,
Right above the page breaks to the bottom right corner is where the page number is.
not seeing them. Maybe these were recommendations.
yeah, these were written comments received by the committee.
Yeah. I'm on the wrong page, sorry.
No, but I mean, it seems to me like in here is a wealth of things that haven't been addressed either and might, be re-entered into the high, medium, and low priorities. I mean, I'm a little surprised that all of the priorities from this master plan are all about sidewalks. And there's nothing about,
When was this written? 2017?
no,
No,
2007.
Oh, well, that's why not as many people were biking back then.
well, yes, they were, but
But not the same. I mean, it was like, yeah. So we're going to want to, so if we were going to have some comments for things that we want to see happen. We want to update the names. Eliminate the things that have been done. Move some bicycle infrastructure into priority areas. and it might be like the Elm Street, crossing there, the Elm Street. That's in there. How do they have that in there?
The Elm Street sidewalk, southbound from Stop and Go. That should be high priority. And
Yeah.
that intersection. Forget the traffic and cars. We're just working on the crossing and the sidewalk.
Okay, so that needs to get included. So the Elm Street, can we just say Elm Street crossing?
Union Elm Street, Union
Okay.
Street crossing.
Okay.
I mean, this is a big project. This is a big job. There's so many things that need to be done.
The ones that say low priority. So I thought having Norwood as that sort of experimental shared road, would that be something we can eliminate? Because they're probably not going to put a sidewalk ever there.
I'm sorry, where are you talking about?
Willow and Norwood streets. Isn't Norwood where the what is that style where it's one lane and you have to share it?
That's, yeah, where they painted the lines. The Sharrow, but he didn't put Sharrows there.
There's no sharrows here.
No, it's just lines to try to help make drivers aware of bicycles. But there were no signs, just lines.
But there was a term like that's
Not that there is a term for it, but no one seems to know it right here, right now.
yeah, it was like
It's advisory lanes.
advisory lane. Is that Allison?
Yeah, or sometimes they call them, Dave's taken to calling them edge lines sometimes lately too. But yeah, advisory lanes is what we were calling them, and edge lines is another thing that they get called sometimes.
Okay. So I'm going to put down the role of advisory lane edge lines in areas where appropriate, but we can again wordsmith. What so do we we've got the Riverwalk. I think that can stay in. There's some that should stay in. We have the Harbor Walk, which I think Lyman Morse may be onto something with that, isn't there? Isn't there some plan that they want to build all the way around to Sherman Point?
Not familiar with that.
Yeah, I think they do have some thoughts around their own property. Beyond that, I'm not sure I've heard much.
Okay, and then we've got all this stuff in the appendix 3. There's a lot of great ideas in there.
Yeah, so what's holding us back from doing them all?
We probably want to figure out what belongs in our high, medium, and low priorities.
Is that appendix 3? No.
Yeah, that was the one you were referencing.
Okay.
Am I still connected?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was just reading. I don't feel I have the wherewithal of how to actually get us to a point of how we're going to get this to an updated version. I could sit down and make some recommendations, but doing this in a group think kind of way, other than being able to go through and say, we can take this out, we can take this out, we should move this up. And so I guess one of the thoughts I have is just to make this, next 15 minutes or so productive. Are there any things that we feel, other than what I've already mentioned, which is eliminate items completed, move some bicycle infrastructure into priority areas? Are there specific pieces of bicycle infrastructure? We want to add that Union Street, Elm Street crossing into there. Do we consider that high, medium, or low? And then the whole advisory lane, which is not mentioned in here at all, do we see that as potentially being other places where we would want to try to expand that at all?
Yeah, it does seem like the next thing under high after the two that you guys have marked off is a new sidewalk along Rawson Avenue. And I don't know that that's the top priority at the moment. Is it?
I don't think so.
So that seems like that could be moved down to a different. I am probably making somebody mad saying that though. So some people might really want a sidewalk on Rawson. I do know that the cross-country team runs that. I don't know who else is using it.
So what we can just do is put a memo next to it. Is this still a priority?
And yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like everyone's wanting to get the sidewalk connected from the one that was just built all the way up to Stop and Go. So it seems like that should be on the priority for Camden.
Yeah.
Also like a crosswalk connecting from that sidewalk over to the other side would be really helpful. It seems like there might be a few, but maybe they're not very.
Where
well
are you
seen.
talking?
Oh, just maybe like between Rennie's and Stop and Go. Hasn't there been talks of getting, I think somebody actually did say that the town is talking about getting, I think maybe Allison said that last meeting. About somebody did, about getting crosswalks to cross over. I mean, it just seems like it would be really helpful.
And also that's one that the whole sidewalk needs to be rebuilt so it is handicap accessible.
That's a big job. That whole, people are in favor of it, and there's a few that are not in favor of changing anything, and they're very vocal. So I think it definitely, I mean, that I think has been number one priority for a while. But it's just getting it rolling is going to be really tough.
The sidewalk definitely needs to be fixed. Just wish it didn't have to be tied in with the intersection.
I mean, 2 years ago, our priority, seemingly high priority, was the Riverwalk. So we all went out and walked along the river and tried to find a path, near the schools. So that was like super high priority. But these things come and go.
Right. I remember when that was happening. I always looked forward to it connecting all the way from Seabright all the way. Weren't there talks of it connecting all the way from Seabright all the way into town?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's still going to happen. That's still in the long range plan.
And is that is a project that this committee would be working on, or is that something more like?
This committee has been working on it. Richard, you were there when it was, and there's sections. There's the section through the tannery area, and then there's the section from the Seabright down to Mount Batty Street. So there's two little sections, but there's a lot of big blockages in the way, along the way. So
And until the wastewater plant project gets done, it's hard to
What-
do much with the pathway along there while they're doing construction, which I haven't been over there, but I imagine it's still going on seriously.
What are they doing?
Rebuilding the wastewater treatment plant.
They are rebuilding it. Oh, okay.
Now they're doing a lot of maintenance on it.
Yeah, they're upgrading it.
And there's new buildings and yeah,
Are they making it larger?
I believe the total building area gets bigger. Whether that means it's larger, I'm not sure, you know.
Still big enough to take on Rockport's wastewater if that were to be worked out.
I could not tell you. That would be a question that Allison might be able to help with. The select board has spent a lot more time talking about that in the past several years than we have.
Oh, so just looking at priorities again. Is the sidewalk along the north side of Elm Street from Park Street south to John Street and a pedestrian crossing? Would that pedestrian crossing by Quarry Hill be the pedestrian crossing?
I think it was, yeah.
I'm not sure what that description really is referring to, but we have made progress in that area.
Right, because then we have the high priority one at the top, but I think it feels like we can yellow this out and say we've made some progress there. Maybe?
There's no sidewalk in front of the tire store, for instance. I think the idea is to have the sidewalk on both sides of the street on that section of Elm Street. And yes, you can get across Elm Street at Quarry Hill, but there's still no sidewalk once you cross the road to get you to the restaurant.
Okay. So it may be partially. Okay. I am putting one last thing in that what is that called again? Advisory lanes. Okay. Colcord, Ames Terrace. So actually, I'm pretty impressed that, despite it all, at least there's some yellow marks on the Camden master plan. I'm not sure there's going to be as much yellow on the Rockport master plan. Just saying. So in the minutes, some things that we, items that we would like to see, items to update. We need the names updated, eliminate the items completed, move bicycle infrastructure into priority areas. We probably want to talk about, from all those comments, are there specific bicycle infrastructure that should be put in there? The Union Street, Elm Street crossing needs to move in, and we feel that's a high priority just because DOE and everything that's kind of the linchpin.
Yep.
And we can come back to that. The role of advisory lanes, edge lines in areas where appropriate. Rennies and stop and go sidewalk rebuild and crosswalks that would lead into that Elm Street, Union Street. Continuing with Riverwalk. Are there any other things that we want to make sure get added to the update? Is Harbor Walk something we want to keep in here? Undeveloped, what's that?
I think there's a lot of things you want to keep in there. Too numerous to mention. I mean, I don't know, stuff that's been looked at before and gone by the wayside. Anyway, I think there's a lot that needs to, it all needs to stay in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can be all set in as, it could be an appendix, you know, the original master plan and the whole thing is just an appendix. And then we update the parts that we feel we want to emphasize. So one of the things is bicycle pathways. Is there anything in here that would be a priority? Or it could be multi-use rather, you know, rather than saying a bike path.
You're talking like bicycles on roads, or are you talking about multi-use trails?
Well, I will say it does get very tricky if you're biking from Rockport to Camden. Once you get off that multi-use trail, what are you supposed to do, like legally? I mean, the road seems very congested. People are always parked on the side of the road, and then when cars are coming, you're just kind of squeezed in between them. Or if you're on the sidewalk, you get yelled at for not supposed to be on the sidewalk with a bike. So that kind of seems like you just get dumped off into nowhere, right?
Yeah, that's not complete yet.
Oh, so that's in here.
I imagine. You're talking about Union Street?
Mm-hmm.
Both ends, actually, right? Rockport and Camden.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I was thinking, since we were talking about Camden, more along once you get to the arch and the trail and the multi-use trail ends right there, continuing on into Camden.
Yeah, if you're on a bicycle, you just have to jump into the traffic lane and
into this traffic.
Yeah, and take the lane and ride down. You're going downhill. If you're going up, it's a little harder, but yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. It's not great for kids, that's for sure.
No, that's who I'm thinking of. I do it all the time, and I just, play Frogger, but with kids, it's a little more dangerous. So that could be added somewhere. But you say it might already be in here. I didn't see it.
So are you suggesting that it's completing the two ends of the multi-use path on Union Street?
That could definitely be something that could be talked about, I guess. Further. Multi-use in Rockport, where does it start? Right after. It starts right after Grapham's, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is a sidewalk. It's not a multi-use, but.
Hey, Margot.
Yeah.
I think we're into a kind of a spider web or quagmire, too many things to take on as a group with this. I mean, there's a lot of priorities. There's probably several dozen things that need to be worked through. Does this make sense to try to continue on as a group to discuss these things? Because there's so many that we're overlooking, it feels like.
I totally feel inadequate. But what I'm wondering is this a time, and as I read that appendix that you were pointing out, I mean, do we want to solicit some feedback from the community? And I'm just wondering, if we put out a press release in the papers with a link to a Google form. I mean, I guess one of the questions is this a time to sort of re-engage with the community to see what their priorities are?
And that's what I was thinking. And when you mentioned that a survey it happened a couple of months ago, that's why I was wondering,
That was
when was the-
that was this team going out into the community and walking sidewalks versus a survey that we send out to the community, which is totally
right.
I think the one that was done, whenever it was, years ago, is
Yeah, I was
still
trying to-
valid. It's still very valid, the survey with the community. Because there's all those things I look at still need to be done.
Right.
Few things have been done. Things are in process, like Route 1 North and various things, but there's still so many things that still need to be done. So I don't think our priorities have changed overall.
I think that section on general comments needs to be gone over and improved and get more consistent in what it's saying. There's a lot of information in there, but it's not well organized, and there's duplication.
Maybe just as like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Richard. I blur out things sometimes.
I still am thinking it's 15-year-old perspectives, and there's a lot of new people. There may be.
Yeah, I agree, Margot, and I think we need to find a process to do that. And this just doesn't seem to be working as a small group.
Oh, that I agree with. But
It's just something that maybe form a subcommittee, maybe get people that are really into, sit down and look it over again and just review it.
Yeah, I think that's what Linda had mentioned. Just a couple of people from each town, maybe going through and just sitting down and making some marks, and maybe then talking about it after. I do think that the survey thing is a pretty neat idea to maybe redo. I mean, I'm sure all the things are still very important, but maybe just a simple thing that says, here are the projects we're looking at, rate them and in the order that you think is most important, just to get a grasp of what the community thinks is most important.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So we've got a little bit of a plan here. So suggestions for next steps are small group from each town.
Mm-hmm.
To take the deeper dive into revisions and reprioritize and new priorities. Okay. Everybody in agreement on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that we need to discuss?
Is there anything else on the agenda?
There is not.
Okay.
Appendix 1 at least in the Camden plan, discusses the methodology of how the survey was done. And I'm not sure we can repeat that, but certainly that's a starting point in collecting information.
I believe we have all the information we need. Just need to get some of it done.
So you don't think, even though it's 15-year-old data, that we don't need a new set of data?
Not really. We can tick off the things that have been done and then go back down through the list and yeah, maybe possibly reprioritize, but it's all still there. Not, there's so many things I'm looking at that haven't changed.
I know, I don't see anything though on those high, medium and low priorities that are about bicycles.
Well, that definitely needs to be added in. So that should be a priority. Right.
So we've got that in our minutes, just some of the things that we've discussed.
Great. Yep.
And then we've also got the possibility that maybe it's time to get a survey out to the community to re-engage them. And, sometimes it's not just about data. Sometimes it's about getting, the community interested in what's going on and like, oh, we can actually have some input on this, but it also has to work within our own capacities, which mine is pretty low right now. So I get that.
I think the community input we've had was very good. And to do it all over again, I don't know how that
was it a big process?
Well, I'm not sure how that, I wasn't here then, but I don't know how that could stimulate it. We still have all those things to do on there. I'm just not sure if sending out a whole new survey to the town, they're going to say, well, we did this 10, 20 years ago. You haven't done anything yet. You know what I mean? I don't think those priorities have changed.
Okay.
Well, those projects have changed. The projects are still there.
Yeah, it's just a matter of which one is the bigger priority to the biggest majority of town, I guess.
We also need to find a way to get the town to promote our ideas, get things to happen.
True. Okay. I think we can adjourn unless anybody has anything else they want to add.
Not right now.
I meant that's not that we haven't discussed already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, folks. Let's call it a night.
Okay, thanks, Margot.
All right. Well, good night.
Take care all.
See you next month. Bye.
Bye.